Hello, Feuzion. My name is Alex Hughes. I am the host of Sports Fusion tonight, and we have a big show planned out for you. I am interviewing Peter Burns from ESPN. So, Mr. Burns, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Sunday on Father's Day. What a crazy day in the world of sports, right?
Yes, it was.
You had, the U.S. Open coming down to kind of a weird finish, and then Game 7 of the NBA Finals living up to every single bit of the hype and excitement that you hoped it was going to be. So, listen, if you're not a sports fan after what we saw on Sunday of this week, I'm not sure if you'll ever love sports.
Yeah. And there was also, you missed out one big event last night, was the Money in the Bank pay-per-view with WWE. So that's 3 big events.
Man, you see, it's so funny how Twitter and everybody loves the Money in the Bank stuff, the WWE, and I never grew up, Alex, really getting into it, but all of my friends say that they just love it, and that's you're right. I mean, that was the big 3.
Yep.
It was golf, it was NBA Finals, and wrestling. Believe it or not, that's the new world we live in.
Yep. I'll plug it right now. I have a new podcast talking about WWE news every Tuesday night starting tomorrow. So that's a big show coming up. So I'm excited to start that up. So.
And a lot of people are. I mean, it's amazing how much wrestling has grown. It was huge whenever I was a kid. I'm 37 years old now, but it was huge growing up. And then, it kind of was always in the fringe, but it seems like over the last couple of years, it's really taken, probably over the last year, really, it's really kind of become one of these sports that everybody loves, that have so many storylines, and people just want to be entertained, and I think that's what the wrestling is bringing to the table right now. So, yeah, the podcast is going to be a good addition to you.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. And I think SportsCenter has been really that one thing that helped WWE grow into something, because it's really, opened those few extra doors for, the casual, fans that don't know what WWE is to follow along. The coach has been doing that show every Tuesday night, interviewing the WWE stars. I think that has really opened the doors for WWE.
Yeah, I don't think there's a doubt. I mean, I think that when ESPN kind of gets behind something, or to the other extent doesn't cover anything. I know that whenever NASCAR decided to go with other networks other than ESPN, and the NHL did as well to get more money than ESPN was going to offer, I think that a lot of times that the casual fan automatically traditionally goes to ESPN for their sports, and when they didn't see those games on ESPN, I think it hurt NASCAR, and I think it hurt the NHL, and now we're seeing the sports that are taking off because of it, and I think that's one of the reasons why there were so many people intrigued with all the storylines of NBA Game 7.
Yep, definitely.
That happened on Sunday night.
So, Peter, what did you think of that game last night? I loved it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of those things where, Game 7, you always hope that it lives up to the hype, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we talk about it so much on whether or not, hey, is it going to be LeBron, having the legacy coming back? Is it going to be Steph Curry, finishing arguably one of the greatest, seasons in the history of all of sports? But I mean, I don't think anybody really thought that we were going to see what we saw. I mean, history showed that we had never seen a team come back from 3-1 in the NBA Finals, much less against a team that had won 70-some-odd games in the Golden State Warriors on the road. I mean, they had to win 2 out of 3 on the road, which is, just nuts when you think about it. But I'll ask you this. I mean, I think when it came down to it, I think that the United States of America, I think 95% of fans were pulling for LeBron James simply because they wanted to see not only him, but they wanted to see the city of Cleveland finally win a world championship.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely. I think Cleveland, what was it, the 53 years, I believe? Or how many years has it been since? Yeah. I think Cleveland last night, I'm so proud of all the people in Cleveland that stick with this team, and it's Cleveland finally won a championship, and it's great, it really is.
Yeah, it just gives everybody an opportunity. I mean, we go back and look, and there's so many people that have rigged LeBron, but in the day of social media, LeBron has not lived a normal life. I mean, by the time he was 14, LeBron was the chosen one. He was going to be the next Jordan, and all he's done is win several different, world championships in basketball. He's become a iconic brand, and really the only kind of black eye that he has was when they televised the decision. I mean, in hindsight, he should have never done it, and even when, you know, you could tell he didn't even feel great about it, but, you know, that's unfortunate that, you know, if that's the worst thing that we can know, you know, LeBron James for, he'll end up being all right.
Yeah, definitely. And so do you think LeBron is going to come back to Cleveland next year?
I think so. I think what happened is I think now LeBron gave that opportunity, and I think now he will always. The reason why I think he didn't want to be in Cleveland was because he didn't necessarily feel like they could win a title there, right? And I think that now that he can, that it was proven that he can. I mean, listen, for LeBron James, the money, believe it or not, is not going to be the difference maker. Like, all the teams are going to be able to pay him roughly the same amount of money to play in the NBA. Plus, his shoe deals and his endorsement deals are going to follow him wherever he goes. He's such an iconic guy. So for him, whether or not the money is not the issue, the question is, can he win a championship there? And he just proved it. I mean, he proved that he can win a championship in Cleveland. And I think more importantly, I think he knew it was something bigger than basketball. What he brought to the city of Cleveland was not just, hey, I can play ball, but I brought passion. I brought these fans, you know, in their suffering that has been happening for so many years in Cleveland and Cleveland sports, that I think that now he becomes, you know, just the iconic figure of, hey, we can be a small town, we can come together, we can right our wrongs, and we can end up on top.
Now, I'll ask you this. If LeBron and the Cleveland didn't win last night, do you think he would come back next year?
It's a good question. I think he still does. I think there was so much that LeBron learned from his decision, from you know, going to Miami. I think that if he hadn't ever won a ring, you know, that if he didn't have the success in Miami and he didn't win last night and he was still searching for one, I think maybe, he looks in a different direction. But the fact that he's been to the promised land, he's won it with a kind of a built team like the Big Three was in Miami, and he's won it with his own team in his hometown or his home city or his home state. I think for him, I think either way he becomes eternally linked with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and I think that's great for the game of basketball.
Okay, yep. And I just want to give all the shout-outs that are watching us live on YouTube. 158 people watching us live right now. And Mr. Burns, I want to ask you, let's move on and let's talk about your career. And I want to ask you, how did you first get into this career working with ESPN?
Yeah, mine's kind of a crazy story. I ended up, I worked in the gas and oil industry right out of college. So I used to travel a lot, and I would always listen to Sports Talk Radio. And there was a guy named Andrew Siciliano, who's on the NFL Network, and a guy named Tony Bruno, who used to do Sports Talk Radio. And they used to have a morning show on Fox Sports Radio that I'd listen to. And one year, back in like 2002, they had a contest, kind of like an American Idol for Sports Talk Radio. So, I mean, I just kind of, put together a tape and sent it in and crossed my fingers. And sure enough, they ended up picking me. I was living in San Antonio, Texas, and won it. So I flew out to Los Angeles, got to host the show for one day, and realized that this was, I no longer want to work in the gas and oil industry. I wanted to try to, do sports talk and do, television one day eventually down the road. So I quit my job and went to the local sports radio station in San Antonio, Ticket 760, and I said, hey, I'll take any job you have. I don't care what it is, just give me a job. So they basically threw a phone book at me and gave me a little cubicle. They said, learn how to sell sports advertising, and once you do that, we might give you a show. And 6 months later, they finally gave me a little weekend show, and it kind of took off from there.
That's awesome, yeah. So what has been your favorite part of your career so far?
I think one of the coolest things, it just happened a couple of years ago, or a couple of months ago, is that Brent Musburger is, one of the legends, one of the icons of sports broadcasting. And I was working in the studio one day, and he was working one of the games, and he goes, in the middle of the broadcast, he goes, all right, now let's go throw it back to Peter Burns in the studio and see what's happening. And I mean, just for Brent Musburger to be able to do that was, to hear his name say my name, I thought was pretty cool. And then I got to the same thing with Dick Vitale. So I got to talk basketball with Dick Vitale before one of his shows live on air. And I think that's kind of the passing of the torch that we're really lucky to see. Is there's so many legends that continue to broadcast that when we get a chance to talk to them each and every day, you always learn something from those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you could, have you ever considered of doing like announcing for football games or basketball or baseball, like play-by-play announcing?
Man, that's tough. I have so much respect for the guys that can do that because, I mean, it's hard enough. I mean, there's different skill sets. You obviously, I think you're very good at doing radio with what, and even with broadcasting YouTube right now with so many people watching. Like,
Thank you.
You have one of those careers ahead of you. And for me, I also, I felt like hosting was better for me than doing play-by-play just because it's, you have no idea how hard a job it is to tell the story when sometimes millions of people are watching. To never fumble your words, to have all your information, to paint the picture for those who don't get a chance. I've seen those guys do it, and I look at them in awe because as much as I think that I've learned, I'll never learn enough to do play-by-play because those guys are just on a different stratosphere as far as talent.
Okay. I want to say thank you, Mr. Burns, for coming on my show tonight and talking, about the Cavs and about your career. And you are invited. I would love to have you back on soon. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. So let me know. I need to know more about you, man. So how did you get involved in putting this thing together?
Well, I did this. I came up with this idea in 8th grade, and I said, I watched the Michael Kay show. I'm a big Yankees fan, so Michael Kay just got his show, so I decided to start my show, something similar like this. And now I've been, interviewing people. I had the honor to have Jay Harris on, who was a SportsCenter anchor on my show a few months ago. Max Britos. I had Ken Rosenthal on a few months ago. So.
Well, good. So what is your end goal? So what if we're talking, 10 years from now, and I'm interviewing you because you've become famous and you're the big star, what job is your ideal job in broadcasting?
The New York Yankees radio announcer.
That's what you want.
That's what I want.
You want to call the Yankee game.
I want to replace John Sterling. No, I love John Sterling. I would be honored to replace John Sterling. I love John Sterling. I would never want to replace him, but John Sterling, him and Michael Kay, like my idols in this career, they're the people I look up to the most. So.
Well, see, there you go. You're a lot farther ahead of the game than myself and a lot of other people in this industry. Because a lot of us, kind of thought we wanted to get into it, but didn't really know what the goal was. So, and sometimes I don't even know what the goal is. I'm just having a blast doing it. But you've already got half the battle done, man. I'm proud of you. So anytime that I can help out, let me know. We'll be more than happy to be a part of your show.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it.
All right, Alex. Have a good one, man.
You too. Okay, Feuzion, I want to say thank you for tuning in tonight for this big show, and I want to say thanks again for Mr. Burns for coming on. Go back, watch all my other episodes, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, go back, watch all my other iTunes podcasts on iTunes also. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow. Thanks.